Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand, and what a show it is this afternoon. Kolo Muani, he's back on the card. Manchester United might be very interested in the low initial fee, dealing with financial fair play. Also Hojlund, Mark said the deal's hotter than the sun. Can it get any hotter? It needs to happen soon. Also Mason Mount, is it the final bid? Is the deal going to be agreed? We're going to get here we go predictions down in the chat below. But I am joined with forum guests, and I'm happy to be reunited with Faz, and we're with Kev. Faz,
kind of sick of seeing you every other week.
No, you're not.
You've only been full time a couple of days, and you're already sick of it.
For a change of view.
It's your debut after your official signing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's a loan with an obligation to buy, so we have to see how he impresses. To be honest with you.
So that's what it is.
I read the Sun and it said pay as you play deal.
Do you know what it is? It's one of them where he first comes in, everyone's like, we're gonna sign him.
Yeah.
Gets towards the end of the season, you're like, we might let him go. We might let him go.
You've got to try before you buy him. Yeah, you can't fully commit.
Keep him Faz Weghorst.
Exactly. We'll have to see.
You're not as bad as him.
Physics.
Long as it's not Faz Guaya, I'm happy.
Anyway, guys, let's get into the show, because obviously it is a transfer show and we have got some news to hit coming into this show. And the first bit of news I want to get into is on Randall Kolo Muani. I'm a big fan of this player, and it's coming in from Chris Wheeler. I can't get my words out. Chris Wheeler at the Daily Mail that Manchester United's technical staff are understood to be keen on Randall Kolo Muani, although they could face competition from Bayern Munich. We know Bayern Munich are leading that race so far on Muani. He's obviously in the Bundesliga, so it does make sense. His valuation is quite high, but Frankfurt are prepared to accept an initial payment of 50 to 60 million euros this summer. We heard that we were going to bow at this, and we know Erik ten Hag wanted him, but we heard that we were going to bow because they were asking for like 100 million at the start of the summer. Obviously, that means the fee is still going to be quite high, but the initial 50 to 60 million could really help Man United in terms of sticking to that lower budget than what we thought we would get due to the financial fair play regulations. So, you know what, Kev, I'll come firstly to you because we've not seen you in a while. What do you make of this, and do you think it is something that United are the route they're likely to go down? Also with Hojlund there, you've heard a lot about that. Do you think it affects that deal at all?
I think it will affect it. I mean, the thing that as a supporter and as us all is the state of play with the sale of the club at the minute. You want to know what kind of a transfer budget you've got now. At the minute, some of the targets I think that are being mentioned, I don't look at Mason Mount as being a plan B. I think this is an actual target that Erik ten Hag wants to bring to Manchester United. So I would say kind of, who are we to question this man if he wants to bring in a player in that position? Now, the players that are being mentioned, I wouldn't say they were kind of the top targets at the minute for ten Hag, and this is what kind of worries me at the minute, is this thing of, you do read it in the media a lot. It's like we have your main target, let's say, for instance, a Kane or somebody like that, and then all of a sudden you go into plan B. And I think until the sale of the club is resolved, there'll be a different breed of player. Let's just say the sale does happen. You could be talking about an extra couple of 100 million, and I think this is where, when you read into it, ten Hag, I was going to say he's pulling his hair out. He isn't, because he hasn't gotten it. But, it would drive you crazy, because he needs to know what kind of transfer strategy he can work with at this moment. But again, an exciting player, but again, I want players that want to come to Manchester United because they want to play for Manchester United. If you're getting into a bidding war with the likes of Bayern Munich, I don't want to be this team that go, well, we'll give you an extra 10 million, we'll give you an extra 15 million, because we've had our fingers burnt in the past before. I want players coming to Manchester United because they believe in Erik ten Hag and what's happening at Manchester United at this current moment in time.
Well, Mason Mount certainly believes that, which is a big plus on him. I don't think with Muani it's the fact he doesn't want to come. I think it's just generally the fact that at the moment Man United are they're not fully in any sort of race apart from the Mount one, I think, because I don't actually think they know themselves what they're going to do.
With the agents as well, I mean, the way they will play club, they know that Manchester United will be in the market for this kind of player. You would put Bayern Munich as the front runner, but Manchester United's name will always get mentioned. I think somebody put up a list the other day online. Is it something like, it's up near 100 players we've been linked with already this summer, which is absolutely crazy. But United's name will always get thrown in the mix with agents about.
Well, Muani apparently, not apparently, he is part of Erik ten Hag's plans. We know that he is on that list of strikers. We don't exactly know how far up he is, but he's a name that's been on the list for quite a while. I remember doing a video on him ages ago while the season was still ongoing. I think it was maybe even in January. He has been looking at him for a while, Faz. But if you're Kolo Muani, like you're gonna want to move. You're gonna want to move this summer. You know that Man United are in for Hojlund. You kind of want Kane. Looking at other strikers as well. Bayern Munich's there. They want you. So in the back of your head, if you put all your eggs in Man United's basket and miss out on Bayern Munich, you could be staying at Frankfurt again this summer because you never know what Man United are going to do. Do you reckon this is a problem now when we're moving to targets? We've got to we can't be too slow. We need to make a decision on where we're going to go, do you reckon?
I don't think Man United even have targets, because how can you have a club like Man United going for 5 strikers and not making their mind up on which one they want? And 5 very different type of strikers. You have an out-and-out striker who'll get you 25 goals, 30 goals even, Harry Kane, who's just actually got 30 goals. You've got another one, an out-and-out striker, Victor Osimhen, who's a pressing monster, who's extremely physical, who's extremely good in the air. Then you've got, on the total opposite end of the spectrum, a striker who's not complete, who needs so much kind of nurturing and growing, Rasmus Hojlund. We don't even know his potential yet. He's not been unlocked in any way, quote unquote. Then you have Kolo Muani, who's again, somewhat young, but is he the out and out clinical, striker that you want? No, he's a fluid player. He'll play from the left, he'll play from the right. So what is our target? What is the system that we want to play? I'm very confused here.
It's baffling.
Yeah, you're saying, Faz, because you say players from the left and the right were heavily stacked in that area.
I wanna look at the transfer market and who we linked with and sit back and think, you know what? We might not have got this player, but you know what? I know what football I can expect if we get this striker, or if this is the type of striker, because that's what Man City do. They're going to get rid of a player and they're going to get a like-for-like replacement or a better one. Same for Bayern. Same for Real Madrid with their midfield. That's what they're doing. They're going to do that with the striker situation as well. They're going to get out and out. What is our identity depends on the type of players we're linked with. And in all honesty, I actually think a lot of this is Manchester United is the biggest clickbait in the world. So you will get agents who are trying to drive prices up. You will get newspapers who need ratings, and they will use the name Manchester United, and the slightest, smallest news will be used to say concrete, interested. What else is there? All the other words that you can think of.
On the radar.
I've seen a list on Twitter and there's like a 2-page document.
Yeah, night vision cameras, whatnot. You'll see all of this. Phone calls have been made. Attraction, this, flirting, dinner date, all of this stuff. But no players getting signed. And this is, again, the only person I can actually, hand on heart, say that is our target. And as much as I don't want to say it, he's not a bad player, but I actually think it's Mason Mount. Because we've not gone back and forth, have we, with other midfielders? It's been Mason Mount, 70 million, Mason Mount, 40 million. Let's find a price, that's what you call a target. That's who you're going for. Frankie de Jong was a target. The striker situation is not, there is no target. It's literally Ten Hag going to Arnold and Merton, the Glazers. Please, I beg you, can you just get me a striker who can play with their left and play with their right, has a bit of link-up play, can help Rashford, can help Anthony, and just get rid of Anthony Martial, and thank you very much, Weghorst.
And that's where it comes back to what we were saying before about wanting players that actually want to play for the club, because I mean, I'm not in the know or anything by any means. I read the same kind of stuff that a lot of people do from journalists and what is put out there. But it does seem Manchester United and the Mason Mount thing, that there is concrete, just looking at that. And again, it goes to the thing of Mason Mount. It sounds like he wants to be at Manchester United next season, which makes it easier for Manchester United, because now they have to negotiate it. Chelsea have got a player there that now openly wants to leave. They will not want to lose him for free. But yet there's other players on that list you've just said, which I don't think they're 100% sold on coming to Manchester United for the right reasons.
Well, we'll definitely get into that. I mean, we've got a couple super chats. Robert McCormack, thank you, Robert, again for a super chat. Regular on the channel. Get the one man who guarantees top 4. Simple. We know who he's on about. He's a very big admirer of Harry Kane, which I know a lot of us are. I wish Harry Kane would be as open about wanting wanting to come to Man United as Mason Mount has been, because, you know, that could help us out a lot in looking at getting a striker in. David Page says, I'm currently on holiday in Seville, staying at the hotel that Manchester United uses. Swear we saw Wan-Bissaka in the reception this morning. We have a history of loaning to Seville. Agent David Page out on the investigative duty.
Love it.
Duties, is that word?
Love these stories.
But no, I don't see Wan-Bissaka. Maybe he's just on his holidays. You never know. Maybe he's just on his holidays. I don't see Wan-Bissaka going anywhere, to be honest. Especially to Seville. I don't see it happening. Sully Jr. says, I'd rather keep McFred than sign Mount. My love for Eric Ten Hag will vanish if he signs him. Sully, my advice to you would be, you know, even if it's a signing you don't necessarily want, which I can't agree with, I do really like Mason Mount, but even if you don't want him, I would get behind the manager and support what the manager wants. And I would say, you know, wait and see first. You don't judge a book by its cover, kind of wait for it to open and let it be read by Eric Ten Hag, and when he kind of improves him, he's gonna, you know, write the chapters with Mason Mount, and I think he'll come good under Ten Hag. I really do. He's already good, but
you cannot question Eric Ten Hag. You know, all these signings. Yes, some people will say about Anthony, bit of a question mark, but if Eric Ten Hag wants Mason Mount, who are we as Manchester United fans to even question that? You know, what is it with Mason Mount? Is it because he's English? Is it because he hasn't got a fancy haircut, a fancy name? Because 2 years ago, I think Manchester United fans would have been all over this if United announced that they were after Mount. It's only because he's not really played that much. I think he's a great player for the system.
I'll say two things. One, a manager has to earn their stripes before I can fully have blind trust in them.
You know, I know. With the transfer window
Eric Ten Hag has done a fantastic job. But I'm not going to blindly trust him like he's Jose Mourinho, who's won numerous trophies in his lifetime. Same with Van Gaal. He's a very established manager. There are much more established managers who are obviously not managing Manchester United. Eric Ten Hag has done a fantastic job last season, but if he makes a purchase like Mason Mount, he has to make it work. For then us next season to say, wow, he has done it with Mason Mount. He can do it again. The next window will trust you again. And the next, and so he can stay on decades and decades. But Eric Ten Hag, he's just won the Carabao Cup with a really bad squad. Hopefully he can do the things with Mason Mount. And look, Mason Mount is absolutely not a bad player at all. The only concern is the price tag. No way are we supposed to pay over the odds for a player who's not even barely played minutes this season. That's just unheard of. And only Manchester United would do something like this. But like I say, he's won. Look, Mason Mount's a Champions League winner.
I know.
Mason Mount is a Champions League winner. That's not a small thing. It's not like he, stole a living in Chelsea. No, he was a really good key player of that Champions League winning squad. So imagine how good it would be for him to rejuvenate his career after a bad season and come to Manchester United and maybe win some more trophies. So it can happen, but it's the price tag that's the main concern.
What I would say to people is Rashford had an awful season, you know, the season before last, and look at him this season under Ten Hag. You know, players at that age, they can go through.
I was just going to say, Eric Ten Hag's got a proven track record of making players better. You know, and you mentioned managers then, like Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho. Personally, at Manchester United, I don't think they did. And I've seen enough from last season in the development of Marcus Rashford, players like that, to know that if Eric Ten Hag wants Mason Mount, he feels that he's a player that he can develop and work with. So for me, it's thumbs up. But I agree with the fee again. You have to kind of look at it and think, if he's got a year left, we cannot have our pants pulled down, which because again, we have done in the past.
If it doesn't work, I promise you, it doesn't come on anyone else but Eric Ten Hag.
Well, the thing is, he obviously has a very specific thing that he wants. That's what confuses me with the striker situation, because we're linked to so many strikers. But Ten Hag clearly has specifics that he wants. Like, you know, that Malacia signing, he clearly liked him because of his attitude, you know, his aggression. And, you know, I know it was a small fee, but that realistically, at the moment, is working out really well for us, the way he's building. He wanted De Jong desperately, didn't end up getting him. Obviously, the next was Casemiro, worked out. We knew that was going to work out, but obviously a great signing. A lot of question marks over Lisandro Martinez when he first came in. Yeah. He was hell-bent. We wanted Pau Torres. He was hell-bent on Timber, then he moved on to Martinez, and exceptional signing. You know, even Anthony, which I know a lot of people question, he's such an actually important part of that Eric Ten Hag system, and he's only going to develop. So I do think Eric Ten Hag has, in that way, proven, you know, to trust him. I'm writing off January because I don't think he wanted Weghorst or Sabitzer. I think they were just given to him because we were desperate. But it's like, you know, it's like when you're starving and, you know, you're absolutely starving and someone offers you, you know, like some sprouts or something. I don't like sprouts. And you're like, you know, if you're starving, you're going to eat them. But you don't, realistically, you have no other option. So that's what I would say on that. So that's why the striker thing confuses me a little bit. I think it does wreak a little bit of desperation from Man United, because I don't think they actually considered that a decent striker on the market is going to cost you around 100 million. Liverpool paid 100 million for Darwin Núñez, by the way, last year. And Darwin Núñez is nowhere near the finished product, but there's potential there.
Yeah.
You know, Man United are going to have to realise if they want someone good, you're going to have to pay for it. But before we move on to Muani, because there is more I want to talk about with Mount and Rice, I wanted to ask both of you guys. I was speaking to Mark about this before we did the show, and we said, you know, Muani and Hojlund together would both be really good, because Muani has, you know, attributes that Hojlund doesn't yet have, and the different players, but Muani has more experience. Hojlund probably has more potential to become that world-class player, but Hojlund isn't ready to start, in my opinion. So if you had to pick one, which one would you go for?
I'd go for Hojlund.
Would you? How come?
Because you can... The thing is, a player that's almost kind of semi-ready hasn't style that other players around them need to adapt and say, okay, this is how they play. Whereas a young player like Rasmus Hojlund, who's 20 years old, it's almost like a fresh canvas, blank canvas, and you paint it how you want. He can teach Rasmus with Benny McCarthy. I keep saying it, by the way, in every forum. Benny McCarthy is the key here. He can teach that player, this is the type of football we want to be playing. We're not going to be changing this, that, and the other. You need to stay in central, aerial threat, you know, free kicks, this, that, the other, link up play, hold up defenders, drag a defender with you. All of these types of things of striker that top-class strikers do, Lewandowski's, the Benzemas, all of them. That's what you can teach Rasmus Hojlund. And on the other thing, Rasmus Hojlund in 5 years' time could end up becoming... Wow, he could. What's to say he can't? Yeah. You know, for the price that we're paying, if we can get him for a £40 million, he could end up being 100 million, no problem, in 2 years' time, 3 years' time. If Muani at 20-odd years old is 100 million, and Victor Osimhen at 20-odd years old is 120, what can Rasmus Hojlund become? And the inflation, price of inflation as well, don't forget.
That's the exciting thing for a player like Hojlund, because when we look back at Manchester United, and I would say I think Van Persie was the last sort of big name striker that come to United that actually made me really excited. And when you look back since then, we've not, you know, Van Persie was in his prime at that moment, but Hojlund's different because, like Faz says, you can work with him, mould him into the player you want to be, and in 4 years' time, who knows where he could be? You know, the world's at his feet, destination, it is up to you. The problem with Manchester United has been in the past is we got the likes of Ighalo, Cavani, you know, players, even Ronaldo to an extent, Weghorst, and we've not been in the market for a big name player. And you just said it rightly, Beth, yourself, you know, have the club not realised that they're going to have to spend a lot of money to address this situation? Under the current ownership, we haven't addressed that situation. But for years, we've tried getting away with it. Get to January, bring somebody in on loan, hope and pray that happens. You know, it doesn't. Man United need to invest heavily in this area. You know, the midfield, we always said needed addressing, but now the striking department, we need a top class number 9. We've been starved of it for years, and it will change the dynamics of the team.
Yeah. That's the thing with Muani, isn't it? I really like Muani, but he does drift a lot to the left. Yeah. Like you said, his striking is quite raw. His assists are brilliant. He's definitely that more of a, you know, kind of fluid number 9, that kind of maybe a little bit Firmino type, that kind of number 9, whereas Hojlund, he's not ready yet. I think people are overrating him slightly at the moment, to be honest. I think he's got the potential. I don't think he's ready now to come in and start up front, but he is more of that presence, you know, that goal threat. He's that goal hanging number 9, which, you know, is something you really want to have. You want to have both them types of players at your disposal, but unfortunately we are really, really short on that. This is
the part of the market we want to be in. You know, we don't want a 34-year-old who's got a couple of years left coming to Manchester United purely for wages. No, it'd be nice to go back to the days when we signed players like Ronaldo, you know, that were pretty... I know he was heard of, but in football terms today, if you rewind back to then when we signed Ronaldo, there was a few people going, you know, what? The Brazilian Ronaldo? What's going on? No, Cristiano Ronaldo. And that set the tone then. You know, we had players like Rooney. Yes, he was well known, but again, we could attract the top young talent. And this is where we're going to get left behind, because there's other teams that look at younger players now and go, I'm going there because I'm going to win everything.
Yeah, I just want to mention 2 things. One of the things that you said is one of the things Man United fans do a lot, and I'm going to say it on every stream, is they hype up players for the absolute sake of nothing. I don't know why they do it. They absolutely adore and love to hype up players. And this same fan base, our fan base, has been burnt by the likes of Martial, you know, even Dan James, even Adnan Januzaj, all of these
Ricky's
types of...
still going
you
on
know,
James.
yeah, like, let's be honest, what we're doing. I'm not going to give any more credit than what Rasmus deserves, what he is now. He's not a top striker at all. He's a good striker that can become a top striker. You come into this club, you work hard, you train hard, you learn, and you can become that striker. But it's like people want first dips. I was the one that said he's going to become a world-class striker, and oh, look now. Stop this, because you create this unnecessary ceiling like you did with Sancho, and look at now, people are not patient.
I don't want to be negative as well. Like, Ahmad was playing for Atalanta. And, you know, he's just been on loan to Sunderland, and
and
Ten
he
Hag
toasted the league,
and he was brilliant. Yeah, he was brilliant, and I like Ahmad, but he needed time. He needed a loan. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think... Hojlund's only just started playing at Atalanta, so you've got to kind of put that into a little bit of perspective. I think Ahmad's going to be a player for United one day. I think he's got great potential.
And the Ahmad fee at the time was an eyebrow raiser, because you were like, wow, you know, and he wasn't even really ready to come into the first team.
It's the potential thing.
Yeah.
We need someone now, don't we, really?
But look at Mudryk. What happened with Chelsea and Mudryk? How long has Mudryk been a professional player, by the way?
I'm not even sure. Not very long.
Not very long at all.
I think he only had 2 seasons.
I think he's been a pro for like 1 or 2 years. And Chelsea gave him the lifetime deal. And Arsenal were making all of these things. Football fans do this, is they overhype a player for God knows what reason after they see some comps online.
Oh, Pepe at Arsenal's
yeah, it's too much. Don't do that.
a good example of that.
Sorry, Parksy02 says, Beth, can you get rid of the Europa League ball? Do we have one?
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, it's behind you.
We will get rid of that. HKN, we only have Champions League around here. HKN Music, Muani will work well with Rashford. We need both Muani and Hojlund. We can not only get one striker. I agree. I think, to be honest, I want Kane so much, and we're going to move on to that. But I do think both of them together would actually be a good fit, because they both offer 2 different things. And, you know, if Muani drifts left, Rashford can drift central. I get how that is could definitely work, which I've always liked. Plus, he's really good at, you know, the assists, which would help Rashford as well. SK, this window will be a dud because of the Glazers' new owners. Because of the Glazers, new owners just need to get in and get rid of our board and director of football and get competent people in the right jobs. Hopefully soon. I'm just holding on to the fact that it is going to happen. It's just taking an absolute age. But before we wrap up the striker conversation and move on to the midfield with Rice and Mount and other topics, because we've been going on this for a little bit, quite a while now, but I just want to ask you guys, Harry Kane, still my dream. I think if Man United, you know, are serious, go out there and push for Kane, 90 million, I think gets it done. I would like Kane to obviously try and push a bit more publicly. Do you guys think that's still a possibility? Is it too early to give up on that deal now? Yeah.
It's not. It's not too early at all. Transfer deadline day is always there. Things can happen. But one thing that you just mentioned is, why is Harry Kane not vocal?
Yeah.
This is a huge red flag, huge concern. Any player linked with Manchester United who wants the move always goes pub. Lisandro Martinez, I remember. He not turning up to training or something along those lines. Anthony. Obviously, the interview with Fabrizio that I'd never heard of. Rasmus Hojlund quotes have come out as well. You know, players do that when they want a big move. Harry Kane has never looked happier being in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. It's like, that's how it seems. He's out playing golf, relaxing, chilling. I don't know. Why? Like, I want to see you take your career so serious to the point where publicly you're like, you know what? Let's be honest here. I could smash this Premier League record whilst wearing this shirt, but I actually want to win something. And yes, I've been to a final with Tottenham, but it's not worked out. I've given you all my life, and I want to move to a club for a different challenge, for a different scenario, for a different situation, a different manager. But he just doesn't. I don't know what it is with Harry Kane. He just doesn't have the passion in him to go public. You're the biggest you're the best striker England's probably ever gonna have, right? And you are not going publicly. And you know those strikers that have like big balls on them and then go like Zlatan, he'll just go and say whatever. I know Harry Kane's not that type of player or person, but have something about you.
I just don't think he wants to rock the boat, Harry Kane, you know, with the supporters. But again, it's a short career in football, isn't it? Where's your ambition?
Well, you know, all the Chelsea fans are turning on Mount now, which is fair enough. Like, he's leaving, and they all thought it was proper Chelsea or whatever that is, and you know, he's leaving. It's like Rashford, you know, moving to another club. We'd be gutted, but at the end of the day, you know, we're not Spurs. Like, you know, we're actually doing well under Erik ten Hag, and there's an opportunity here. Mount saw an opportunity to move here. He took it. Yeah, he's turned his back a little bit on the Chelsea fans. But, you know, sometimes you've got to do that for your career, and I expect Harry Kane to have the ambition to do the same. Do you think there's a possibility, Kev? Or?
I still think it's on. I do think it's on. I think, reading into it, at the minute, it does seem that Manchester United are trying to play the card of maybe getting into Harry Kane's representatives and actually making him put in a transfer request. The only thing that worries me is that's when I start to question his ambition, is just how much does he love Tottenham and he doesn't want to rock the boat. But if he does, for me, Harry Kane will forever regret it. Because even bringing in, Buster Coglu, whatever, from Celtic, as Harry Kane, I'd be looking at that. It wouldn't fill me with much. You know, I wouldn't be thinking next season we're back in play, title charge. Whereas at Manchester United, yeah, all right, we won a Carabao Cup, but we can offer him Champions League football. And I will say it as a Manchester United fan, but I think we are moving in the right direction.
Do you know what it is as well? I saw today that Bruno Fernandes is in the top 5 assists to a player twice. And you've got the likes of Haaland, you know, De Bruyne and Haaland. You've got, you know, all different partnerships at different clubs. And Bruno's in there. I think he's he's at the top for, you know, assists to Rashford to potential goals. But obviously Rashford's not finished them all. But he's up there, most chances created for Rashford. And then he's got, I think, the same amount of chances created, really similar to, it's the same as Odegaard to Saka it is for Bruno to Anthony. So Bruno's putting in all these chances for our forward players that aren't always finishing them off. Like Rashford obviously had a good tally, but a lot of that is Bruno. He's a striker. He's a player you want to be in front of. Honestly, Rashford's goal scoring tally, a lot of it is due to having Bruno Fernandes in behind him, and Harry Kane and Bruno as a partnership, I just think would be off the scale. I think Anthony and Rashford's got way more goals with Harry Kane there, you know, feeding them as well, because he can do both things. I just think he's an absolute no-brainer. I have rival fans messaging me, especially, I know quite a few City fans, unfortunately. I didn't think there was many, but I know quite a few. And they're saying, we'll only take you seriously if you get Harry Kane. That's exactly what your club should be doing. That's what Man United
If Harry Kane comes to Manchester United, from Bruno Fernandes' perspective, he will think that Christmas has come early. Because you look at the players that he's had to work with, you know, a sulky Ronaldo, who very rarely made much movement up front to give anything for Bruno Fernandes. We know that Ronaldo was at the later stages of his career where he wiped the ball in at his feet. He's not going to run into the channels. He's not going to work back and win the ball. Harry Kane, what he has done at Tottenham this season is unbelievable in a team that were absolutely diabolical. You know, if he'd have gone to Man City before, when there was the talk before Haaland went, Harry Kane would have scored as many goals as Haaland did last season.
If not more.
I think a lot of strikers,
if not more,
to be honest.
If not more, because
he brings so
Haaland
much
is a very
more
boring striker.
to the game.
He's a very boring striker.
Haaland's brilliant at what he does,
He
but
puts a ball in
as
the
an
back of the net.
all-round player, what Harry Kane brings
is much
to you.
better. Of course he is.
Yeah.
I don't
Look
even
at
know
what
if
he had
Haaland,
to do in that team.
I don't even know if Haaland played the Champions League final.
Oh, Faz, don't get riled up.
Don't do that to us.
He's a good player. He's a good player. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but Harry Kane, I mean, in Man City squad would score 40, 50 goals, no problem.
Yeah.
Let's move on. First of all, this super chat's just come in. SK, 100% Bruno. I think Sancho too would improve with a Kane type striker. I agree. Sancho does thrive off having a striker there. So that, it's just a no-brainer for me. But let's move on. Like, we talked a little bit about Mount, but we'll just sum it up. Man United have found a middle ground with Chelsea over a deal for Mason Mount, with the England star now closing in on a £60 million switch, and that's coming from the Mirror. We knew this was going to happen. Mount to Man United, we've discussed that, you know, if Erik ten Hag wants it, he should get it. I've been on this train for a while. I know a lot of people, you know, are worried about this transfer. Don't be worried. Erik ten Hag's got a plan. Trust me on this. I've already said he'll have a better season than McAllister. I think McAllister's a good signing, and I like the player. Mount will have a better season. I think he'll work really well in that United side. But from you guys, quickly, when do you think we expect the here we go?
Oh my God, you're asking me.
Apparently, Ten Hag wants to get him in before pre-season, so.
Duh, like, no. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the Faz here we go on the United stand this week, and then you are really spoiling us, and then we get Mason Mount as well.
I don't think it'll get done anytime soon. I think it'll still be a week and a half or 2 weeks.
I've gone with Tuesday, optimistically.
Next week?
Yeah.
Today's Thursday.
Yeah, I know, but we've only got one more bid to do.
You know, Arnold and Murta work half days on Friday and they take Mondays off.
We play golf.
Oh, well, then maybe not.
It's not.
That's how Manchester United work. But you already know, right? Even if they've agreed this behind the scenes, they have to bring Mason Mount in. He has to learn how to play, you know, Glory, Glory, Man United on the banjo. And then they'll do the PR video where he's at Old Trafford, like Alexis Sanchez style. There's so much to transfers now, it's crazy.
Personal terms are fully agreed. Mount apparently,
it's never been an issue, has it?
From the Daily Star, so take it with a pinch of salt, but apparently the personal terms are Mount is accepted a 200 grand a week contract, which I actually think 200 grand a week is standard at Man United, really. Like,
That's
we brought in...
crazy, innit, to say standard,
yeah,
but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but if you think about it, you know, you've got...
What's he on now?
I think Eriksen's on like 200 grand a week. So
but Eriksen's free. Eriksen's on 230, if I'm not mistaken.
230, yeah. I mean, Rashford's going to be on 375. Sancho's on 350. Like, you know, Mount, we know he wanted more money, but I don't think 200 is outrageous, you know.
What is he on now in Chelsea?
In Chelsea, it was low, which is why they had the reason why all the talks broke down is because he didn't think he was getting paid what he was worth. But I think 200 grand a week is, we don't know if it's the final fee, but that is what is been brought out, is going to be 200 grand a week for Mason Mount. And a lot of people in the chat are saying, so it's done then. We've not had the here we go, but the Mirror are saying that with that they have found a middle ground. And Romano did retweet before that 60 to 65 million gets this deal done. So I don't think it'll be 65. I generally think it's going to end up being 55 million with 5 million add-ons. That's what I think it'll be.
Not happy with that 60 million mark. Not happy. I think 50 would have been the max with 5 add-ons.
So you think walk away at 50 and don't get the player that Erik ten Hag wants for an extra 10 million?
It could be add-ons. If there's something built into it.
24 years old.
Realistic add-ons as well, not these.
I really hope it works out. I know it's not a lot more. Like, Anthony was way more than we did. He was double.
Havertz has just gone for 65.
I do understand that, I guess,
and that's why United should be looking at that and using that as a bargaining trade now and saying, well, you just sold Havertz to Arsenal.
Yeah, but
and this nonsense about selling to a rival.
But how many games has Havertz played last season compared to Mason?
I get that, but Havertz didn't play well.
Yeah, but Mason didn't play at all.
I know he didn't, but I've seen, you know, this is just my opinion. I've watched Havertz and Mount for a long time. I've seen quality in Mount. I generally can't see it. But have you seen Havertz is
Chelsea's most chances created, most...
Yeah, but Chelsea are crap. It's not hard to be that.
It's like it's not 3 stars.
That
was
like only last year as well,
stats.
which Mount barely played in.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think if Ten Hag sees a vision, it's his number one target.
I've always said Mason Mount isn't Ten Hag's target. He's going for it because he's got not enough money to go for the big name midfielders.
Well, he was on loan in the Eredivisie, and apparently Ten Hag really liked him, and he was very popular in Holland. And he tried to sign him the following year for Ajax on loan. So he has liked him for a while.
I do think he's one of his top targets. I do not see this as a plan B. This
someone
has been rumbling on for a while now.
I remember someone said, "Wow, Weghorst is from the same village as Erik ten Hag, so Erik ten Hag liked him." I mean, there's all these things.
Well,
so I take it with a pinch of salt.
Here we go. When you're saying?
2 weeks.
No, it won't be that long.
Next week.
You can pick up.
It's Man United, by the way.
Pick up the banjo and learn that. I would say, what day are we now? Thursday. I would say early next week.
Early next
week.
About
Tuesday, I would think.
I'm going with you, Kev. Everyone get in the comments what you think as well.
Yeah, let us know.
When do you think it's going to get done? It can't be too long, surely. I swear Havertz happened in about 2 days. Like, why can't we, you know... It's frustrating.
Well, Manchester United, we should be used to it now because this is how it always happens.
But everyone, the next topic of discussion is a bit of Rice baby. Declan Rice. I mean, we know the story, everyone. If you're not up to date, Arsenal bidded 90 million for him with some add-ons. Man City have just bidded today 75 million with 15 million add-ons, but then a different account said it was a bit of a higher bid than that. City have entered the race, and apparently, you know, it's come out from multiple outlets that Manchester United want to enter the race. They haven't yet, but they want to enter it with a cash plus player deal for Declan Rice. Mark actually did tell me before that apparently Rice prefers this is just with City and Arsenal, that Rice prefers the Arsenal to City because he wants to be part of a project and he doesn't want to be part of the finished article. I think if United were in there, they've got a very, very good chance. I just don't think we will do it because of funds, and I don't think we're capable of pulling off this sort of deal. But
Unless
I mean,
it's players plus cash, that's the only way I can really see this one working. And
would-
David Moyes owes us one as well. After all them years, torturous years, he put me through.
Apparently Moyes really likes Maguire and McTominay. Maguire's wages we know are going to be too much, but McTominay I think would be a brilliant switch up.
I could see that.
What do you think, guys? Do you think there's any legs in this, or do you think it's just PR?
Package Maguire the best way you can, in the nicest suit possible, with the best perfume, give him the nicest haircut, and send him, please. And make sure you put all of the best bits of Harry Maguire in Manchester United shirt when you send him as well. But I actually don't think that they would prefer a player with cash deal. I don't think so.
I think they would.
I think they would rather make the highest money, because they can then invest that money wisely in their squad, if that's what, you know. Let's be honest. If you're a footballing organisation, you're not taking Harry Maguire. I'll be very honest with you, when you've just won the Europa Conference.
I honestly,
I don't think so.
Maguire works at West Ham.
No, we will say that.
He
And
does.
I think David Moyes...
He does,
wasn't
Faz.
David Moyes after him before United bought him, wasn't
he?
it?
He does work at West Ham. He does.
I don't see Maguire working in England, let alone in
he's
West
good
Ham.
for England.
He can go. Well, not
I
that
don't
good
think he
anyway.
should start, by the way, at the moment when he's
that
not
good.
playing.
There's better English
I think
defenders.
Harry Maguire, in a team that sits back the way West Ham do, works.
In Italy, yeah.
I think from West Ham's stance on this now, if you've got Arsenal, Manchester City that are throwing money at it, I do think that it'll appeal a little bit more, not to Declan Rice as the player, but to West Ham as a club, if Manchester United can offer players, because I think West Ham will look at this and David Moyes and go, all right, let's just say they all offer 100 million and it's all accepted. They make 100 million. It's quite hard to then invest that money. You know, you're not going to get anybody like Declan Rice, but let's just say, for instance, Manchester United do offer McTominay, you know, a Maguire in there. I do think it is a make weight in the deal.
I do. Do you want to know why as well? If you're going to other clubs trying to buy,
you're getting a guaranteed two players, aren't you, that walk in.
We know you've just sold Rice for 100 mil. We know you've got 100 mil. They're going to keep upping the price. Like, apparently they were going to approach for Paulina off Fulham, and the rumour was they were going to ask 80 million for Paulina. But it's like, all the clubs you're trying to negotiate with know you've got that money. If we give them, you know, Scott McTominay or Maguire, and then we give them, like, you know, 50 or 60 million on top of that, maybe more actually. Depends if you give them both or just one of them. You've got two players there that are both going to start for West Ham. I think, you know, look at McTominay for Scotland. He always performs. United, he's not good enough. He's not good enough for the top level. At West Ham, is he a definite improvement on Souček? Absolutely. I think he'd be really good in that midfield. You know, David Moyes is Scottish as well. Probably likes that.
Oh, I love that.
So, you know, I do agree with you that I think if United entered this race in a competent way, I honestly think we could get it. I think Rice would pick us as well. When he comes to Old Trafford, he loves it. He always speaks so highly of us. I think he would do it. I can't picture Rice. If Rice goes to City, honestly, guys, I know some people think he's overrated, but it is really, it's nightmare time.
You'd be fearful.
It's nightmare time because they're going to start overtaking the league like badly.
Can't get any more nightmare than what just happened with the treble, but...
Yeah, I know.
Don't say the T word.
I know that, but Declan Rice is is he 23, 24? He's captain material. He's got levels to go up. I'd rather him go to Arsenal than City. But I think if United were actually competent, you could see this deal getting done.
Do you actually think Declan Rice would choose United over City?
I think he would. That might be
even looking at what they've just done.
From what Mark's told me, he said that, I don't know who he knows, but I don't know. He said that apparently, this is all just hearsay, apparently that Rice wants to be part of a project and doesn't want to join a finished article. And to be honest, if I'm a player, and this isn't me trying not to be biased, who honestly cares, you know, when you're part of that City team? No one. Like, you come in and you bring Arsenal back to the top, or, you know, even better, you bring Man United back to the top. You know, it's going to be way more well thought of in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, you go to City, you win trophies, and that's what every player wants to do. I'm not saying it's a bad club to go to. Most players would choose City over us. Like, we've seen that with, you know, players recently. But I do think with what Ten Hag's building, United are really attractive.
We need Special Agent Shaw on the case, don't we? Luke Shaw has to be getting into these players on England duty. And
I think Mount, again, is a big attraction. If we get Mount, obviously we know they've grown up together, best friends, and the friends with Shaw. I don't know how it works. But again, not addressing certain positions has shot us in the foot. If we already had a striker sorted, we could have gone hard on the midfield. Do you know what I mean? We could have gone for Rice and Mount, no problem. But we've got a keeper, a striker, you know, potentially, 2 midfielders to get. It's hard,
And that's where Manchester City have been well run. Yes, they splashed the cash. They bought, remember, they went through a phase of just buying players for £50 million, John Stones, Kyle Walker, De Bruyne, but they got up to the point where their squad was strong, and now they don't need to rebuild. They'll probably lose Gundogan, they could lose Bernardo Silva. They'll just make a few little tweaks in there. They don't have 4 or 5 areas of the pitch like we do. We understand as fans, man, it is a rebuild here at Manchester United, but you need to get the squad up to the depth of where, at the end of an FA Cup final against Manchester City, you are not bringing on Weghorst for a reaction or chasing a game, because it's not good enough.
They just need icing on the cake type signings, but I'm sorry, City, they spent 30 million on Kovacic, which the way they got him for 30 million, I don't know if that's just Chelsea being like, we're just going to bleed these two dry, but you have Kovacic for 30. And then they're apparently going to go for Gvardiol at 90 million, personal terms apparently have basically agreed. And now they've lost Gundogan on a free, and they're going to spend 100 million on Rice. I know they've made money through winning everything, but that's over 200 million gone already. Who knows what else they're going to go for? So they're spending money still, and the ambition is right up there. I don't know how the financial fair play regulations work on it, but who knows?
We will find out one day in about 2029.
Might be 116 allegations soon. Juan Diego Gutierrez says Maguire and McTominay 30 million and a thank you note. Sean Adelaide says, I think with Mason Mount signing soon and Luke Shaw is a good lad with Rice. If United go for Rice, he will come. That's the thing. I do think Rice would come. I just don't think we're going to go for him. I don't think we're going to enter that race fully. I think we want to. Just don't think we have the facilities for that. Brian Pollock says, I'm ignorant, so forgive me, but doesn't the need for certain amount of English players drive our top targets? Is Mount his top target or does he need to buy English so he fits the bill? Yeah, that's right. We do need to buy some English quota, but also I think that's another reason why we're going for Harry Kane and looking at other players as well. I do believe that Erik ten Hag does really want Mount, but everyone is allowed their own opinions, can look into things different ways.
There's Declan Rice and then there's Camavinga. I mean,
there's levels.
Some levels to this.
Is it Real Madrid, isn't it? JE says player and cash would only be accepted if the cash is at least 70 mil. Mark thinks 30 mil plus both players. Never. The cash is more valuable than Scott and Harry. I think it'd only be one player. I don't think you ever agree 2 players onto that. I don't think Maguire would do it for ego reasons. I think McTominay would probably go because there's talks of him wanting to go out there and get a first team place. And they've just won the Conference League. They're building there. Paqueta plays there. It's a decent team to be part of. SK says we've sold Hannibal for 30 million plus add-ons. We bought him for 10. Feels like the Glazers are selling our youth off too instead of the ones we need to sell. Unless there's been something going on while we're on the show, we've not sold Hannibal. Dortmund are interested, but we've not sold him to my knowledge yet. But yeah, we know we don't sell well. The sky's blue, the grass is green. United don't sell well. Hopefully that can change under a new ownership regime. To be honest with you, I'd be more frustrated if I knew the Glazers were going to... I didn't know they were leaving, but because I know they're going, I'm like, just get it over with.
Yeah, but,
get it over with.
This same fan base, not the comment, but this same fan base was absolutely heartbroken when Jimmy Garner got sold.
No, I agree with you. We should be selling these players.
And then when I said, when we had midfield crisis, and I said, oh, well, we should have kept Jimmy Garner, people said, well, he doesn't even get into the team he's been sold in. Well, a few months ago, you all were wiping each other's tears when he was sold for a couple of million. It's the same situation.
He was sold for 20, weren't he?
Not even that. It was like a add-on situation.
Oh, was it?
So it was 10 million or something plus a couple of add-ons. Whatever it was, still. If the same player was in a European team in Spain or France, they would be going for 30, 40 million. We all know that. Look at the prices of some of these other players, Lavia and etc., how much they're going for. And the same thing with now, Zidane Iqbal's obviously one of them that's been sold. There'll be other players that'll be gonna be loaned out and sold. And you know what? As much as it upsets me that, it's our youth, this is part of the process of running a successful academy. Not the money. People keep thinking about the money. It's not. It's about having a conveyor belt. Because go and check Real Madrid and Barcelona are getting rid of Gavis and Pedris in dozens every year. The La Masia gets rid of so many top-class level players. Real Madrid's just invested in this 16-year-old called Endrick that people like.
Oh,
you know,
and he looks good.
yeah, he looks good, but we'll see what happens, right? And that's what we need to be doing, just having conveyor belts of players coming and going. It's okay if some of them work, some of them don't work, some of them we accidentally let go, like Real Madrid let go of Odegaard, and now look at Odegaard. It's okay, but that's what a top academy should be doing. It's just sifting through players.
Well, Saichin Paul says Ghana will come good eventually. You don't boss the championship for no reason. Ten
Exactly.
Hag just hates youth
Exactly.
as much
Tough
as
league,
Mourinho.
yeah.
Ten Hag doesn't hate youth, but it did come out today that Ten Hag is not going to give any youngsters a chance unless he considers them up to his high standards and world-class talents. And to be honest, I agree with that.
You've got to be ruthless.
100%.
Do you see, you know, yes, City are bringing through academy players like Rico Lewis, and obviously Foden's been there for ages, but, you know, Cole Palmer's been on the scene a little. But do you reckon Pep's just going to start playing players that aren't good enough to be in that team?
No.
It's about,
Standards.
you know, you've got to have, if you're not good enough to displace someone who's already in that team, then you shouldn't be playing. It's just because you're from the academy doesn't mean you get an automatic chance.
100%.
And
I also
I'm down for
think.
that.
Sorry to interrupt that.
No, go
I
on.
also think as well, I've said it so many times on the fan forum about Manchester United having an identity as a team. I think when we get that, and I believe Eric Ten Hag's got total control over academies, but the kids that are coming through at the youth age, whatever, 5, 6 years old or whatever, have to be playing a certain brand of football, which will be known as like the Manchester United way. I think we've lost this, you know, hugely over the years. But you see a team like Manchester City, a team like Liverpool, sometimes they'll pluck some player, you've never even heard of him, but when they're put into that first team, because they played that football through the years, moving up through the different age ranges, they're not fazed by it. They go out, they play, because they all play a similar brand of football. That's what I cling on to, is that I hope that Eric Ten Hag can implement that kind of Ajax. Look at the Ajax Academy, for God's sake. You know, it's world-renowned. The players that come up, I remember in the 90s, the likes of Kluivert, Seedorf, Davids, you know, the Ajax, you know, sold them on, but made huge money. I don't want to be that club. I want to be the one that does bring through youth. But again, I agree, they have to be good enough. Don't play them just for sentiment.
Look, when I'm going to Lee Sports Village twice a month and I'm looking at the football that we play, and then I'm going, you know, Old Trafford twice a month or whatever, and I'm seeing the football that we play, it's night and day. It's so far away. The youth need to be playing the exact system and type of football that the first team plays, so then it's a smooth transition for the players. And the players, you know, I remember when Academy played Monaco last season in one of the tournaments. Monaco absolutely ripped us apart, and they were celebrating in front of us. The opposition team was celebrating in front of us, taking the mick, and our players just head down. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of these boys, fans actually, and I'm just saying it, they don't watch academy football.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, they don't. They watch comps on Twitter and YouTube, and they again do this thing where they gas these players up. Watch academy football 90 minutes week in, week out, like I do, and maybe some of us do, and see, you will notice some of these players are good, but there's levels.
The
Garnacho set levels, Foden set levels. And even go and check Garnacho, the way he came into the first team. Small minutes, bench, small minutes not in the squad, small minutes again. And he very slowly let him come in. And now he said, right, okay, 90 minutes. All right, okay, you proved in, bench again. Very slow. It's a slow process.
Exactly. And it's like, you know what I mean? Ten Hag clearly like evaluates players, and if they're not good enough, move them on. It's like everyone was crying about Zidane Iqbal. I get it. Like, he looked like a good prospect. He's not. Ten Hag clearly doesn't think he's good enough. So, you know, what's the point of keeping them around if he doesn't think that? Kobe Mainoo, I reckon, is going to come through. And I think he might even come through this season. Because, you know, Ten Hag clearly, you know, you saw him in the FA Cup final, you know, kind of telling him, like, you know, this could be you, like, sort of thing. And he clearly, you know, sees something in him. Garnacho, you know, he had that little attitude problem on tour that Ten Hag openly spoke about, and Bruno did. But he was that, he's that talented. You still see him, you know, learn under Ten Hag. You saw Ten Hag's speech when he gave him the new contract. He's clearly one for youth. We've spoken to, you know, the academy coach and the head of the academy, you know, Nick Cox, and they've said how involved Eric Ten Hag is with it. He wants to bring players up through the academy.
He's a
obviously.
disciplinarian.
He just wants them to be of the standard, which I think is fine.
Like you say on Zidane Iqbal, you know, a lot of United fans, I know I shouldn't really read Twitter that much and that, you know, to gauge some kind of opinion, but everyone's like, oh, £1 million, Murto Arnold, you know, they've just sold him off for £1 million, and I'm like... And
the fee was ridiculous. We should have got
who have we sold him to? You know, if you want me to be really blunt and you're talking about players that, you know, are they good enough to be in and around the first team, why was no bigger clubs in for him? If he's that good of a prospect, why not? And maybe we might get some stories out soon that suggest that training, you know, he wasn't listening. His application, attitude.
I don't think that's right.
I just don't think he's
that's right.
Ten Hag's level. Yeah.
I don't think that's right. I just think he just wasn't good enough.
But Ten Hag is selling him to a club that he was part of before.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's not a bad thing, you know.
Sashin Paul says O'Shea and Brown and Johnny Evans wouldn't have got a chance if we went with only ready players. No youth player is first team ready. Need faith. You see a lot in training. And, you know, you can see if someone's, you know, going to be good enough.
But back in them days, United, under Sir Alex Ferguson, had an identity, a style of play. It was counter-attacking football. You know, it was end-to-end stuff. And then players found it easy. Nicky Butt, John O'Shea, Phil Neville, whoever it was that come in, because they played that system. They knew how to play it.
Yeah, someone just said watch City's under-21s. They play the exact same football as the first team.
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
I hate to say it, but City's under-21s are ridiculously
They ripped United apart last year.
Ridiculously good.
Darren Mulaney says we could do 2 great swap deals. Swap Maguire and Scott for Rice and swap Sancho for Kane and some cash and could make it happen. In dreamland, but, you know, it's just that's never going to happen in a million years.
On FIFA or something, maybe.
To round up the show, God, we're nearly at the end already. Go so quick with you guys. But to round up the show, I just wanted to talk a little bit quickly about, you know, Man United's missing out on Kim Min-jae. Talks of going for Disasi. Faz, I'll ask you on this one.
I'm so unhappy. I am so... That's out of every single transfer talk and rumour, this one is the one that actually pisses me off. Like, it makes me angry at the club. It makes me angry at the board. I don't even know why, but it makes me angry at my manager. It just makes me angry at everyone. I'm just... see red. How on earth are you letting a player like that slip away from your hands is beyond me. You are willing to pay Harry Maguire the big money. You're paying so many players the big money. And Bayern's gone and just agreed, you know, personal terms with it. Why are you not stepping in? It's the most baffling thing. Go and offer him a better contract. So what? We have to pay players anyways, no? Mason Mount's getting 200 a week after a season where he's barely played double-digit minutes. And you're here letting one of the best centre-backs in the world, possibly, who's had a fantastic season, best defender in that league, won the league, and you know what he can do. You know the price is beyond ridiculously good, and you're letting him slip away. The price is actually half price, by the way. A defender like that would be 70 million, 80 million. No doubts about it. And you're letting him slip away from your hands.
It does come down to the player. You know, I can't imagine for a minute that Manchester United haven't sounded him out, spoke to his representatives. What if he turned around and said, am I going to be in that first team next year? You know, Ten Hag might have said, I can't give you assurances, Varane and Martinez, but yeah, remember we spoke at the last fan forum of the season and we were on about the fact that he would push Varane because we know that Varane will get injured at some stage, and if Kim Min-jae gets into the team, you would expect him to own it and make it his own, and Varane would find it hard to come in. Maybe, you know, Bayern Munich have said, listen, you are our first, you are playing every week, you know, when fit. It's... Yeah. And surely United would have been in the conversation at that price, like Faz says as well.
Well, this is what...
And Disasi is not all that.
I don't want...
Todibo is much better.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think we'll get a defender. I don't think we'll get a centre-back. I think the thing is, for me now, if you said to me, Beth, you know, we're on a budget, as much as I want Kim Min-jae, because he's brilliant, as much as I do, at the end of the day, we need a striker, a midfielder and a goalkeeper more than we need a centre-back. Worst comes to worst, we go into next season, you've got Shaw and Martinez for the left side, you've got Varane and Lindelof, who I think is good enough to cover for the right side, and yeah, we could do another centre-back, but you've got enough quality. You look at the midfield, we've got no one. You look at the striker, we've got no one. You look at the goalkeeper, David Hayes probably going to leave. We've got no one. So it's about the fact we just don't have the budget, I don't think.
The sale of the club is absolutely crucial at this moment in time. I cannot believe this is... Well, I can't believe it, actually, that it's rumbled on for, 7 months?
More than that now.
You know, I'm waking up, refreshing my phone every morning, crossing everything every night, thinking, I just want to hear some news. But now we're actually in the summer transfer market, and this is holding Manchester United as a club back. I cannot believe that the Glazers have taken so long to think about a deal that seems too good, you know, to be true on paper, and they would not take it. It's kind of heartbreaking, it really is, because my fear is that if it doesn't happen, you know, within the next few weeks, You know, we will be going to plan B, and then we're going to be going into January. God knows what is going to happen.
I'll be honest now, and a lot of people won't agree with me on this, I'd rather get a backup 6 for Casemiro than get a centre-back.
Same, I agree.
Because I think, you know, if Casemiro is injured, we've got nobody. You know, if Varane gets injured, you have got Lindelof. If Martinez gets injured,
you've got Luke Shaw that you can move Luke Shaw at centre-back.
To play left back.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, really, it goes, what, striker, goalkeeper, midfielder, another midfielder, centre-back. Then you're looking at another striker.
Well, it's probably striker.
Well, at least if you've got one, Rashford can play there. You've got Garnacho.
Yeah.
We need, you know, Casemiro is literally a one-man band for that number 6 role. Yeah. And so that's why I would go there. But Nate H says, I'm sorry, but Rashford needs competition. It's ridiculous. He's going to be on 375 grand a week. He's not on that level.
It's not ridiculous at all. I hate this stuff.
This is United's fault for not sorting a contract out earlier.
It's not ridiculous at all.
You know, players will do this
it's
now.
Not ridiculous. When I said it, remember that day when I said it and everybody went crazy?
The same people would be upset if he went to PSG.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No chance.
And then you have to look at, well, as an asset, what is he worth to Manchester United?
Yeah.
You know, if we lost him for free, you could look and say, is he worth between 50 and 100 million?
Because of that comment, let me just tell you, how much is Sancho on?
350.
And how many goals did he score?
Oh, like 5.
Right. How much was Ronaldo on the season when he outscored Harry Kane?
Yeah.
How much was he on a week?
$500,000 or something.
Right.
Yeah, $500,000.
And how many goals has Rashford scored this season?
Same amount, isn't it? Near enough.
Yeah, all comps 30 odd, no?
Yeah.
Right? And he's asking for 375 for 4 years. And in 4 years, he's going to be prime, past just around mid of his prime. So it's a very fair ask.
Yeah.
It actually is. Because I keep telling these people, and they do not understand this, is it doesn't matter when they sit down in the table, it's not Manchester United squad communicate for Rashford. It's Rashford agent sitting down with the club and saying, what has my client done for your club and how has he achieved his personal targets? If he's achieved them and outshined and outdone them, you have to pay my client accordingly. Or else there are clubs out there who will pay the money. And Rashford is a big brand. It's one of the biggest brands in football.
Where the club's not been run well. You start giving players massive wages. Let's say, even going back to Alexis Sanchez at Manchester United, reportedly on nearly £500,000 a week. Once you do that, your dressing room is broken. Because if we're sat here, you know, I could be like, well, how much money are you on? And then if you're not doing as good as me, I'd be like, well, I'm worth more. You know, why is he on more?
And
you know, it's...
By the way, everyone, there would be a number of clubs out there willing to pay Rashford more than that.
Without shadow of a doubt.
There is.
Without shadow of a doubt.
You know, and Eric Ten Hag loves him. His main part of his project. You know, I think Sancho's on 350. You can't argue. There's no arguments made.
Impossible.
It has to be over that.
Impossible.
It has to be over that.
Yeah.
To be honest, to only be 25k over that, I think they've done quite well. Nagado Jamanka says, Sancho was in Paris Fashion Week. Makes me so mad. He should be working hard and training like Rashford did last summer. After such a bad season he had. Players need a break, guys.
Get over yourself.
Players need a holiday.
No, honestly, get over yourself.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Get over yourself.
I don't like comments like
that.
No.
You don't perform 1 week at work and on weekend you're out partying to try and get your mind clear. And you think these players, after missing Christmas, Boxing Day, missing friends' birthdays, missing family members' weddings, and headache of the whole season, seeing people abuse them on Twitter, can't sleep, can't eat, can't do this, can't go out, can't go for a meal, paparazzi taking pictures, and they've gone for Paris Fashion Week while season's off, and you're here, no, please. And the reason why I say this is because someone needs to say it.
Yeah,
and if you don't say it, people don't understand. You have to put perspective to this. We have a responsibility on platform like this to say it as it is.
Why would you take offence to it?
Sure, you know, everyone needs breaks and holidays and to get their mind off things. 100%. And, you know, people recuperate in different ways.
You know what?
This is a really short turnaround between the end of the season and pre-season as well.
Rashford
was in Paris Fashion Week.
Listen,
I'm
so glad to see Sancho smiling.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy that he's around people, he's smiling, he's in the public, because don't forget, just not long ago, this year, his Instagram was wiped. He was vanished. We didn't know which mountain he got sent to. And now he's out, he's enjoying himself. And all of these things have such a big part in a person's life, let alone just their job. So keep on doing.
People like that, you know, that carry on about Marcus Rashford, oh, he's here, there. You know, yeah, like Jack Grealish. You know, you could look at that and, you know, is Rashford doing that to the extent? Is he going round, pouring vodka down his neck in front of everyone, slurring his words, going round? Yes, he won the treble or whatever. I don't really have a problem with that. I'm just trying to say that in terms of what Marcus Rashford has done, going to Paris, London Fashion Week or whatever.
His people need to just, you know, personal lives are personal. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, Kev, lastly, I want to finish on this because we're basically out of time, but I wanted to ask you this and I wanted to get to it. Obviously, we know you're a De Gea fan on this channel.
Oh, you've set me right up here now.
It looks like, Ornstein said, it looks like De Gea's leaving. 9 days till his contract expires. Looks like United have pulled out at the last minute, which I don't... by the way, everyone knows my opinion on this, but I do think the way we've handled it is bad. You know, for a keeper that's been there for that long, we should have told him we weren't going to keep him instead of letting it go like this.
For how the news broke, you know, he's not on the retain list. You know, somebody has gone through that. With that news really should have broke before that. You know, David De Gea has been pivotal at Manchester United for such a long time. And he is a legend at Manchester United. We've sat here, we've debated, whatever. You know, you have to pay the man respect for what he has done. But at the same time, I can agree that I am at the stage that I watched the Champions League final, and that was an eye-opener for me. I have seen these so-called sweeper keepers before, but to see the performance of Onana against a team that we are trying to compete with and get somewhere near, I'm all of a sudden kind of dreaming and thinking, imagine him in Onana, you know, and just the breaks of play, the passage of play, the way he broke lines against Manchester City, it worked for such a heavy, long time. And I think with better players, you know, Inter Milan, let's say Onana does come to Manchester United, better players in Luke Shaw, Martinez, Varane, whoever it is on the right side, Wan-Bissaka, players that are better on the ball. Oh my God, the phases of play and how quickly they moved up the field from that one-touch passing at the back, quickly out, pinpoint passing. I am at the point where I go, do you know what? This will probably revolutionise the way that Manchester United play. And listen, I am sad because I know Manchester United aren't great with dealing with things like this, and David De Gea deserves respect, but at the same time, I've got my eyes open and I have to look at things like that and think a change of keeper will change the dynamics of the back totally. There you go, Beth. That's what you wanted to hear.
Just another one. You know, Man City conceded more goals this season than last season, than the season before. Man City actually conceded more goals at the start anyways, they were. But Man City ended up winning the treble.
Yeah.
And what does that tell you about the goalkeeper? Again, love David De Gea.
Phase of play.
Yeah, I love David De Gea.
Style of football.
My goodness, did Inter Milan nearly... it should have been 3-1 almost,
well,
I think. But.
You know, I love it when people... Because I do this and, you know, like, I love people that, you know, can be open to having their opinions changed over the course of, you know, just basically watching and, like, you know, because things can change in play. Like, I've liked players before and then I've ended up not liking them. I've not liked players and end up liking them because stuff like that happens. It's nothing like personal.
Well, at the time we first debated this, my response to you was I didn't see David De Gea as an issue then, and I said we had bigger issues in this team. Now, since then, we've brought in Martinez, we've signed Casemiro. There's players that have come in that I look and I think absolutely brilliant. Players have stepped up all over. And I look at this little point of the team, and like I say, watching Onana in the Champions League, I thought was absolutely sensational. And I look at that and I think, but I did at the same time. I said to you, there will come a time when Erik ten Hag looks at the goalkeeping position, and he will have a decision to make. You know, I didn't think it was going to be a year down the line, but it does look like it's going to come to fruition. Is that the word?
Fruition, yeah. Mr. Miracle, end on this first thing top managers do is fix their goalkeeper. Pep focused on that hard when he came in. And Nigado Jamanka says, I just him to shine. Don't know if you said I want him to shine. I'm not sure what that means. But thank you for the super chat. But look, everyone, that is the show. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it is going to be interesting coming in to, you know, going through the transfer window, seeing when we do sign certain players and what targets we go for, because it's still not 100% nailed on what positions even we're going to be really going for yet, which is ridiculous, but it is Manchester United. And the takeover as well, that's been on the back burner a little bit, but I hope it's going to happen soon, and hopefully we have more to discuss on the show, and hopefully we have a signing to discuss. Maybe we do a forum next week. We might be discussing the Mount Tuesday deal, Kev. You know, and Faz will be...
My worst nightmare, man, is that the Glazers decide to stay. This would be like come the summer,
can't do that
right?
now, surely.
We offer Vegas a 4-year deal or something, and Harry Maguire is still at Manchester United, you know. And then I will crawl into my wardrobe with my year's supply of red wine, Pringles, the lot, and just sit in there and think about happier times, like '99 or something.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen. The workhorse won't happen. But no, I think the takeover has to happen.
Put it past United.
No workhorse has to happen. The takeover thing has to happen, and hopefully we get new signings in the door quickly. But thank you everyone for getting all your comments in the chat. We really appreciate it. As always, Forum Gang on the Thursday, and it was a really good show.
Enjoyed
Kev,
it.
thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
We're missing the forums, but
yeah,
we'll bring
it's
it in
nice.
transfer style.
Change of scenery in it. It's like these nice new seats as well.
Exactly. Faz, thank you as always. I know you're really hot and
Yeah, I'm sweating. Mark, get an aircon in here, please.
He's just signed now. He's making all these new requests.
Yeah. Have to.
You're a diva, aren't you?
Start signing, you have to. Everybody clear the way. But where's Ricky, by the way? Or which corner of the world is Ricky in? Because this is a message for Ricky. Me and you need to have a conversation. I need to pick the brains of the Godfather to see where he stands with all of this. Because I promise you, he's going to come out with the most craziest statement.
I'm telling you, we need to sign Weghorst.
I was just going to say, Ricky will be in some backstreet bar in Sevilla or something, in like Scruffy Murphy's, talking the ear off someone saying, I'm telling you, Weghorst was mint last season for Manchester United. That's what he will say.
And they'll be like, where can I get some of that, mate? Anyway, thank you everyone for watching the show. We'll get Ricky back on soon. I promise you guys, everyone wants him back. We'll get him back soon whenever he decides to come back to England. But thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned for the 8 PM. And yeah, have a nice weekend, everyone.